Good evening, all you hooligans out there. It's Jay here. Sorry, I've been a little MIA. It's the new year. It's 2019, and we have been super busy. We've been blessed with business and busyness, is the way I was putting it. There's a lot of things on the forefront for us that's been going on. We've partnered with one of our hooligans who's starting his own YouTube channel called The Wandering Kiltsman. So we've been setting up, helping him to set up all his social media, all that sort of stuff. So he's coming out to do some through hiking. But today, or tonight, I guess, I wanted to touch base on something that's a topic that I used to research quite a bit back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And that was actually even before that. I used to do a lot of research on meditation. My business partner, Hooligan V, she's been asking me about meditation, and I haven't done research on it in a long time. But she said she ran across an article that said you focus on your breathing and you just do that throughout the whole meditation, and that's it. And I'm like, wow, if that's the material that's out there right now, it's like, it's fallen off so far off the trail for that. So there's so many benefits to meditation, which I'm not going to go through, but I was telling her like this article was trying to tell her to just focus on your breathing through the whole thing, and I'm like, that's just step one. The breathing exercises is essentially a way for you to clear your mind and focus about on just one task, which is your breathing. Now, breathing is essentially an involuntary action that we do all the time. There are physical reactions that happen, like when you're doing deep abdominal breathing, it activates your vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in your body, which helps drive your body into the relaxation mode, which is necessary for healing and maximizing your body's functions. There's lots of different things like that, but in terms of meditation, yeah, that's typically just your step one. Um, so some of the other things that follow that, what I was telling her, is like it really depends on the type of meditation. There are guided meditations out there where you'll listen to somebody and they'll walk you through the exercises, whether it be relaxing the body even further, trying to go into a deeper state. There are other ones that take you through visualizations or both. But the pinnacle point of that, a lot of meditations has been visualization. Being able to visualize yourself in to certain situations to just free your mind and free your body from all the stresses of what's happening today, or throughout your day. And I've always recommended people doing meditation before bed if they don't have time to actually sit down for like 10-15 minutes. Even just 5 minutes a day before you go to bed, take time to just not do anything, and that'll be your time for yourself. But that was something that it was hard for me to find, and I know I don't know exactly where I got it from. I remember there was at least one reference that I had, and it just made a lot of sense for meditation. Now, meditation, like I said, step one is typically your breathing, and that's to clear your mind, focus your body, and then you go through a relaxation period um, through just focusing on deep abdominal breathing. But most meditations, what they don't teach you is that once you're done with it, whether you go through visualization, whether you're just going through to clear your mind, is a way out. And even I've done it before where I've gone through guided meditations and I've passed out, just because I was too deep in, and I was just like, it's so comfy and gone. Um, but some of the better meditations will actually have you come out of the meditation in a proper way. So, say if you have one, a very common one is when you start your deep abdominal breathing to focus, and then you start um, tensing up certain parts of your body and then relaxing them, or imagining like there's waves coming up and brushing up, starting from your toes, going all the way up through your body. And every time the waves come back and retract, they pull more stress out, more the tension away, stuff like that. It's all meant for relaxation. Well, when you're coming out of a meditation, you want the exact opposite sort of feel. So once you're done with your visualization, you retract all the way back with the steps that you've already taken, whatever your visualization is. I've read ones where you're walking down halls. I've seen ones where you're going down staircases. Other ones where you're going up in the clouds. You know, there's so many of them. But whatever it is, you want to reverse that process. Reverse the process, and when it comes down to focusing on, instead of relaxing your body, you're actually putting your attention to moving your body, almost like you're waking it up, and essentially coming back to the breathing, which is step one. So breathing is just that conscious effort of being aware of what's around, right? Being aware of you in your space. So when you're ending on the breathing, and then the last thing is coming back to consciousness, being aware of your surroundings, opening your eyes, looking around, taking it slow, everything like that. I found there's something amazing that happens when you actually reverse the process and you become more vitalized. You become much more aware of what's going on. And it's, like I said, I decided to make a video for this because it was something that I was really into for many years, for probably about 20 years. And I can never stress enough just how beneficial meditation has been in my life. You know, I mean, just to get me out of my own headspace, or my own negativity, a lot of the negative speak. You know, it absolutely helped me to overcome so much. And just going back to the root, I mean, we live in times where everyone is just fire and forget. You know, we're living on the seat of our pants and not really understanding, like, there's more to life than just your next deadline. You know, and I get caught up in that all the time now, but I can manage my stress enough because a little backstory about myself. I used to get anxiety attacks, and my anxiety attacks used to create temporary paralysis. So my younger brother has the same thing, but he hasn't been through the same type, or as extensive for into meditation as I've been. But I don't get them anymore because I know how to mitigate my stress. And that's definitely another topic that I think that is directly related to that, is stress, managing your stress. And another thing I've taught Hooligan V and other people about is there are two main ways to deal with stress. And let me restate. There are two main ways to deal with stress in a constructive, positive way that isn't going to suppress it and just cause problems for you later. And that's your outlet and your perception. Now, your outlet is your short term, your perception is your long term. So, the biggest difference, and so many people get this mixed up on so many, and it's really easy to. It's hard to understand the difference between a distraction and an outlet. Most people do things as distractions as opposed to outlets. Now, an outlet, under my definition, is a way to convert the negative stress into something constructive. So, if you're writing, whether you're singing, whether you're sculpting or drawing or doing whatever, the biggest part of those creations to make it an outlet is to actually drive and remember all that negativity, all those things that stress you out, and put it into that activity, into that creation. And that is a true outlet. Because, and like I said, it's such a fine line to slip into it just being a distraction because you're caught up in just what you're doing. But distractions don't help convert negative stress. They are literally just they just distract you from it. it suppresses it, so because you're not dealing with it in a way. And that's why I always say working out, physical activity is one of the best ways to throw all that pent up anger, aggression, stress, all those things into something that's going to create a positive creation. It's better for your health. It's better for, you're building muscles, you're building strength, you're building endurance, you're creating something. And you could do the exact same thing with your hobbies, your passions. You know, film is one of my passions, doing that. I used to be really heavy into martial arts until I got injured. And that was like my way of focusing all of that, whenever I deal with my stress. And anyways, but that's the driving force of what creates an outlet. You have to be able to throw in all those things. It doesn't matter if it's justified. It doesn't matter if who was right, who was wrong, whatever. It's just throwing all that mix up, mashed up emotional mess into something that when you come out of it, you'll have created something. And ergo, transferring, converting your negative, all that negative speak, all that negativity within you into something positive. And some people call that art, some people call that, just a release. Whatever it is, I call it an outlet. Um, the other side to that, though, is the long term. You know, one of the things that I feel so many people lack today is spiritual development. Now, spiritual development doesn't mean religious development, although that was one of the primary reasons for religion, was spiritual development. It's the exact same reason why meditation came about. It's a huge pinnacle in what one of the aspects of helping us grow as human beings. Right? Spiritual development is essentially internal reflection on yourself, self-reflection. You know, I hear more people today blame others for their actions as opposed to taking responsibility for that. They don't want to take responsibility because it's so much easier to say it's on somebody else. That's why I use the term projecting, and that's an old psychological term. When you don't want to deal with something, you project out. Um, or not when you, well, yeah, when you don't want to deal with something, you're projecting those insecurities out to other people, and essentially are doing the the thing that you hate. That's what it's one of the great quotes. It's like you can't hate or love anything about anybody unless you hate or love that about yourself. So how you treat people is very important with just understanding yourself. What irritates you about certain things. Like, and I've noticed that about myself too. Like things about when I see crappy drivers. I'm like, well, I hate when I'm a crappy driver. I'm angry with myself. I'm like, why the hell did I do that crap? But it's the same thing. But in order to get past that, you gotta recognize that. You gotta acknowledge that thing about yourself, and you can only do that through self-reflection, internal reflection, which is spiritual development. That's exactly what it is. It has nothing to do with whether you believe in an afterlife. It has nothing to do with the established religions. It has everything to do with who you are and why you are. That's it. You know, and this the spiritual development side of everything. Of being able to learn who you are. That is what helps develop and mature your perception as a human being. I made a big effort to do self reflection, especially during the busy months when I was in the military, to do it 2 to 3 times a month. And I used to tell people just do it once a month. Um, I say do it as often as you can, anytime you get. And that kind of goes back into what we do as filmmakers and creators ourselves to make ourselves better. It's really easy to get caught up in ego. And we've made a habit of doing what we call after action reports. And that's something I got from the military too. And what that literally means is it's an after an action. You're reporting what happened, what was good, what was bad, what was needs to be worked on, and how are you going to do it better next time. And we literally do that after every major project that we do. or a major trip, or just major event that goes on. And it's driven us to grow exponentially just because we're able to recognize um, our own faults, that in that sort of development. And we do that for ourselves to maintain ourselves. Can you just imagine how far we can come, like we can go with that? And you'll be able to recognize how far you've come from where you began as long as you can remember, really. Because if you're not pushing, I always tell people, it's like, if you think that you're like the shit with no faults, like, oh, I sure hope someone just smashes you over the head because you're an idiot. But there's so many people that are unhappy with who they are, and yet those same people aren't doing anything to take steps to better themselves. Or if they are, they're getting in their own way in so many different ways. Like, whether it be their negative speak, or just being downtrodden on themselves, like, I can't do this, or making excuses. Making excuses is a huge thing. It's your natural defense to not harm yourself. Your body and your mind are built to defend itself and preserve itself from what it is, like where you're at and how you are. That's it. I mean, there's an uncanny ability. You can put it through shit. You can force it to go through shit, and it will survive because that's how it's built. Up until the point where you go too far. And the same thing goes for your mind. It works the exact same way. So, taking time out to do some spiritual development, to do some self-reflection on who you are, why you are, and what you can do better, and what's the next steps. And I've lost count on how many months it was like, okay, that was a big mistake. Didn't we discuss this last time? Yes. What did I say I'd do? Well, I'd take steps 1, 2, 3. I took step 1, and then I forgot about doing step 2. So I'm going to take these next couple weeks, when that situation arises again, to really focus on driving through to step 2. Because one of my favorite sayings, when people are like, yeah, I know. It's like, I don't care what you know. What are you doing? What is it that you're doing? It's like, I know. Look, knowledge is useless. Knowledge is useless unless you're doing something with it. So do something with it. It doesn't matter what you know. It matters about what you do with it. So anyway, that's my big tangent, and welcome into 2019. So yeah, Happy New Year. I don't recall if I posted anything on here for the new year. So Happy New Year 2019. Way to go. And yeah, we've got a lot of great projects coming up. A lot of big changes. I redid the website for Hide Hooligans, hidehooliganfilms.com. Check it out. We'll be setting up all the stuff for the Wandering Kiltsman. You can find them on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter. We will be posting up for his website in the near future. Yeah, there's a ton of things in our wheelhouse with that. But hopefully this a lot of people are into this new year, new me sort of thing. I don't like those things. I'd rather make the changes when they're required. But new year, always a clean slate to start on. If you need that in your life, then take it. All right, have a good night.